Welcome, everyone. Hello, we're so glad you're here. It's a very hot Friday. We're doing the best we can. We showed up and we're doing the best we can. That's all we can do, right? So it's not going to get much better than this. This is where we are. I'm in Oklahoma. It's nice and roasty in Oklahoma. We got uh, the humidity index is really high and the heat index is like 103. So, but that's the way it goes. And anyway, we have a really great show planned for us today. Really excited about it. Great guest, always interesting. She's been here before, so you may remember her. And we're going to get started with her in just a minute. Father Shawn is not here. He has been on extended medical leave for his wife, Sharon. And the update on this is pretty good. She is out of the ICU and she is recovering. Sharon had major surgery on June the 22nd that lasted 16 hours, and she's had 5 surgeries since. And that has really, really been a long, hard road, but she is recovering nicely now, and we're so glad about that and so glad to let everybody know about that. And we do have a link in the chat room for the GoFundMe, and I will post this link at the end of the show for people that catch up with the show later in the day. They're not able to be here live. That will be there for them, but it's Join Sharon's Fight to Beat Cancer, and that's on GoFundMe. And that is Sharon Whittington. Father Shawn is a priest with the USOCC. That's the United States Old Catholic Church. He is also an author of 2 books, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, Volumes 1 and 2. We also have a book we did last year, Help Me, I'm Haunted, which is a compilation of many of the topics that people write into us about. Each topic became a chapter. He writes on it, I write on it, and we had guest writers come in and also give their take on it to try and give people some of the best, well-rounded advice that we could give. For those of you who don't know, Father Shawn was on Eli Roth Presents, The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel. He was one of the regular exorcists on that show. And that show, now you can watch that on Max and Discovery Plus. Father Shawn's website is www.ghost-b-gone.biz. You can get signed copies of these books at his website. You can also contact him, and he's happy to hear from you. So having said all of that, I am Annette Munich. I am Father Shawn's co-host and publisher. I'm the dorky book lady that ended up sitting in the big chair at this show. That's a joke. Everybody's laughing, I'm sure. We have lots of great people pouring in, joining us today, and so happy to have you here. And I'm going to bring in Jennifer Talley right now. Jennifer Talley is a psychic medium, and she is with New Orleans Paranormal Society. And she is also going to tell you about a great conference they have coming up in New Orleans at the end of this month, New Orleans Paracon. She's been here before, and we're so glad she's back. Jennifer Talley, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Annette. It's great to be back. Father Shawn, thank you for also being, I can see him in the chat, so thanks for being here too. It's great to see both of you.
Yes.
Oh, hello from
this
Hungary.
Is our friend from Hungary, Safina. And she's just a real sweetheart, and she's been coming every week, and we just love that she comes here. And we have New Orleans Paranormal Society. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got Linda, who is here, saying hello.
Hello, Linda.
Thank you, Father God, for doing all you can for Sharon. That's very sweet. And we have Sister Jennifer with good afternoon, everyone. And we're so glad you're here. You know, we have such a great collection of people that come to chat with us. They're all positive, they're friendly. We joke around a little bit. The subject matter does get intense and serious. So we joke around, and they expect that from us. And it's not really us taking anything really lightly. That's not what it means. Hi, Travis.
Hello, Travis.
I'm so glad to have you guys here. So yeah, we find that a little bit of levity helps. It can get pretty intense. It really can. So so glad that you're here. I want to tell everybody this because it was a couple weeks ago I saw that you had made a video, like a walking tour in New Orleans, talking about the buildings. I was completely fascinated, and I watched that. Oh, here's Carrie. Hi, Carrie. I watched that, and then shortly after that, I saw you were having a Paracon, so you were on my mind about coming back on the show. But what I like to do for everybody, it's a treat if you enjoy this kind of thing, and I do. We're going to get that link for you so that you can watch the walking tour in New Orleans, and Jennifer's there and talking about all of these super interesting places, little bit of history, see it for yourself. If you can't be there, you can still, it's almost like you're there. It's a little walking tour, walk along and, get the information and see it. It's kind of really nice. Yes. So I have to go find that link on your page unless you know where it is.
I don't. I'm on my tablet, or if I was on my computer, I'd get it right to you, but I do not.
It is on your page, so I'll find Caro.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. That was just a little video about just haunted places in New Orleans. I mean, where, if not one of the most haunted cities in the country. And a lot of people come to New Orleans because of that perception. And there's a lot of stories and walking tours that tell all these stories, and some are very made up and just legend, and some are not. And some have some fact, or the fact is not here, it's over there. So that was one of the reasons that we did that video, is for people coming down for the Paracon the end of this month. What are some of the things and stories that you might hear about? There are books have been written about all these places. Some have theories, some have facts, some have storytelling. So it's kind of hard for people, I think, sometimes to know what the difference between all of that is.
Right. And I think that there's just this energy and legend and lore around New Orleans. First of all, if you would ask me what's the most haunted city in the United States, I would say New Orleans.
Yes, absolutely.
I would think that. Even though there's no way to actually prove that, but I would think it.
Mm-mm.
But the energy of the place mixed with all of the legend and lore, and you got the voodoo, and you got all that stuff going on there. It's just mystical and easy to believe. All kinds of things that people might say. I don't know, if it's possible to really sort out everything that's factual from things that are just stories going around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, one of the stories that kind of gets me a lot is the Lalaurie Mansion and Delphine Lalaurie, where she was portrayed on American Horror Story by Kathy Bates, which, I mean, Kathy Bates plays that kind of character so well.
Right.
But a lot of what
that was really good.
It was, but a lot of what they portrayed most of what they portrayed in that series was absolutely positively incorrect or unprovable. There's actually no proof she ever did those experiments, tortures, things like that. There's no proof. She was never arrested for it. There was never a court case. They had absolutely no proof. So that's one of the stories that people think, oh, that's the most haunted place in the city. Not even close. Not even close. There's activity there, don't get me wrong, but it's not even close to the most haunted place. It's the most famous place. It's different, for sure.
Yeah, that was one of the first places I was going to ask you about today. I'm on your page scrolling for that video. But also, I bring up a movie that I dearly love that I think is completely creepy and totally New Orleans, and that's Angel Heart. This is a little bit older of a movie with Mickey Rourke. Have you seen that, Mickey Rourke?
It's been a long time, but yes, I did. Oh. And that was the voodoo part of it too, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Also, very not correct for voodoo. If you want a polar opposite of what voodoo is, watch that movie, because it's everything that it's nothing that is, for sure.
Well, I don't know if people see, if you're outside of all of this realm, then you wouldn't really know.
You don't.
I had a guest on. I'm still on your page scrolling for that video. I had a guest on not too long ago. And we'll see what you think about this, and feel free to, agree or disagree or whatever.
Sure.
But he said that he was talking about the lady that is in St. Louis Cemetery #1, the voodoo queen, Marie Laveau.
Mm-hmm.
And he said she was not the really bad, scary person that people made her out to be. And he was talking about some of the good things she did in her life. Mark, you came. Hello. Very nice of you.
Hi, Mark.
I just invited him right before I got on here.
Oh.
So, and he does a show with Brian, I'll think of the last name, Brian Bowden, or I guess you could say Bowden, or you could say Sir Brian Bowden, but he does a show with him, and that's lovely. And I was there the other night saying hi, so really nice that you came. All right, back to Marie Laveau.
Yes, he's correct. All of those things you just said are correct. She was a devout Catholic. She did do some healing through some native voodoo practices. She also was never enslaved. She was born free. Her biological dad freed her and her mom. He actually owned her mom and then freed them both. She was absolutely beloved. She was not evil. Voodoo is not evil. That's Hollywood, folks. But understand, with any spiritual practice, you can have extremists that do things in intentions that are bad. But at the root, the majority of the practice is not, right? It's what you do with it. But Marie Laveau, I mean, and there's some debate. I don't think she's in St. Louis #1. I think that they slapped a plaque on the side of a tomb that said Laveau and Glapion. Glapion was the family name of the man she was with her entire life. She could never marry. Marie Laveau was black and Glapion was white. So in the laws in that time, they could not marry. She had all of her children from him. So there's no proof she's there. Absolutely no proof. But I think they needed to put her somewhere for people to just go to a place. So I think that's up for debate, really, that she's in there, because plaques on the sides of those things, of those tombs in our cemeteries, kind of just give you information. They don't always necessarily mean that those remains are there. For instance, Henriette DeLille, who is actually one of the founders of the Sisters of the Holy Family here, her tomb has a plaque on it, but she is not in there. That was her resting place. Her remains are actually at the Vatican right now. They're looking to prove her final miracles to canonize her for her work. So those things can mean a lot. But Marie Laveau, her obituary was written in the New York Times. That is how much she was beloved here. So the dark, the evil, the whatever, that's not her. Her daughter, actually, Marie the Second, they get mixed up a lot. I'm not saying her daughter's evil or anything. What I'm saying is her daughter was a little bit more into the voodoo side of things, actually a lot more than her mom was. So a lot of misconceptions in that, for sure. But that guy is right. I mean, she was a beloved woman here for sure.
Interesting. And I just remember the name of the show with Mark and Brian, and that's Third Eye Live. So I thought I would throw that out there. Very, very interesting. Okay, well, again, the voodoo thing, the movies, also when people talk about things like Santeria and religious things like that, and also Geechee, the hoodoo stuff. It all kind of gets lumped together, and it isn't. And yet it's in its own little corner of the universe, and people that don't know it think that it's all, I don't know if you would say interchangeable, interlocking, that same type of thing. And so I thought I'd bring that up. I once did a book for a man. This is a funny story because this freaked me out so bad. So I'm doing this book for him, and I thought it was a collection of short fiction stories, and it was about Geechee and hoodoo, and the stories were really good, really scary. And then we were getting close to finishing the book, and he said to me, I think that I have to change some of the names in this book because some of these people are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I had any inkling that these were real stories. And that was the end of me working on that book at night, because I was like, oh my God, seriously. Because those stories were just completely creepy and off the rails. And these were not nice stories. These were a lot of revenge stories. And we got Roger here saying, howdy, Jennifer and everyone. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Roger. Well, and so I caution people here too, like when we're repeating, especially as a paranormal investigator, integrity should be at the top of your list. And so if you're investigating a space or even telling a story of like the Lalaurie Mansion, right? When I hear these stories that people have embellished and made up, it doesn't sit well, because they have living family members here. And how would you like it if person after person after person were saying all these lies about your family member? It's not the only story that happens to here. So I'm very cautious, and it's good that person was changing names, because you don't know how long that story is going to last. And you do have to protect the integrity of the family members, because sometimes a family member of yours does bad things, but at least get the story right? And so these embellished stories it's one thing, we're very careful about. It's the reason I did that video, is because I just picked a few stories that I knew were just embellished all of the time. And it's okay to tell them, as long as you're saying, hey, I can't prove this. This is a legend. It's not okay to use names, in my opinion, and not back it up with something you can prove. But you can say it's fact. That's one thing. There's a few stories here. There's the Axeman. That's another one. Everyone loves the Axeman. Everyone wants to talk about the Axeman. And think, who is he? Who is he? Well, you'll prove the Axeman is a certain person, right before you prove who Jack the Ripper was, right? So, but there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, he's here. Oh, he's there. Oh, he's this person. And, Delphine Lalaurie, same thing. They're telling all these stories. They're like, she did this, she did this, she did this. And there's no substance behind what they're saying. They just want attention and tell a fabulous story. So it's one thing that that bugs us, and it's something in the Paracon. One of the reasons we're doing this is because of things like that, because of the Hollywood embellishment to witchcraft or voodoo or vampires, things like that. We want people to hear facts, right? We want them to hear facts. We want them to be able to ask questions. So that was one of the reasons that we started this. It was a need for education that we've seen during our ghost hunts that the Paranormal Society does every night. People are thirsty for knowledge and don't know what a good outlet is for that knowledge. Where am I going to get the true things? Where's my reputable people? Where is all of that? And then let's clear up some stuff about New Orleans and voodoo and vampires, things like that, for people to actually learn the reality of it, and not just get their education from TV.
Oh, sure, yeah. And really, I don't want to get really deep and off track, but the world is a battle of stories. That's the truth.
Yep.
The world is a battle of stories, and it's not usually prove that it's right. It's like somebody prove that it's wrong, because we're just going to keep saying what we like to propagate as our version of the story. And in the case of New Orleans, these are like legendary.
Yeah.
That's legendary.
She is. Yeah.
Absolutely legendary. And going to her grave and all the marks on her grave, and people still leave things there to this very day asking her, for help and blessings. And so her legend is as alive today as it ever was.
We were my group was fortunate enough to actually investigate the buildings sitting on the property her house used to sit on. She had a little Creole cottage in the French Quarter on St. Anne Street, which was accidentally, quote unquote, demolished in the early 1900s. And on it now sits a shotgun double. And we're very good friends with the owner, who could not rent it out. He had it rented, both sides rented out, both tenants moved out, and it was 8 months. And he said people would walk in and walk right back out. So we were fortunate enough to spend a few days there investigating to see what was in. And it was in there, and it was very interesting. The difference between one side of the shotgun. A shotgun is just a side-by-side with no hallways. So it's two side-by-side houses, shotgun double. So one side was a lot lighter, a lot friendlier, I guess. And then the other side was anything but. It was so interesting. But we ended up getting evidence of what sounded like a snake slithering on the floor, because we left cameras up overnight, and something rolling on the floor, and we found it was a crystal ball. Wow. That was very heavy, and it rolled. It was almost like, okay, what's playing with this? We don't know. We never got video of it moving by itself. We could just hear it. And then we brought in some voodoo people that were voodoo practitioners, because you do want to bring in experts in residential investigations. You got to bring people in that know more than you, for sure. And what the original night thought were imps, we actually found out these spirits were water loa that Marie would use to do healing work. So imps would be considered kind of a rat, kind of on the darker side of, well, I would say demonic, but not good. And the water sprites are anything but. And so after the team was corrected from the first night that, hey, this is not what you think it is, it's this, they did an offering and apology, and the energy just shifted in the house and got lighter after we were realized what it was. And I feel like she's probably still around. We feel like the snake could have been her snake, or one of his descendants named Sambi. Again, we never going to prove it, but I can tell you what it sounded like. So it was very interesting. And we did end up getting, connecting with some local church officials here who came by and did not a blessing, but a house clearing for us. And you could, and within a week, the owner rented it out, both sides.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm in spiritual warfare in my own way, not to the level of Father Shawn because he's an exorcist. But I'm in a group that has over 40,000 members that prays for people who are in spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Like a supportive community. And I think that most places can be cleansed and made livable again. Sometimes it has to be an action that's repeated. It might not be just one time. But, you know, I don't say I'm an exorcist or an expert like him, but there is a lot that people can do to help their situation. I don't know. I'd like to kind of ask how you would define an imp or a water sprite or any of those kinds of beings. Those would all be considered elementals?
No.
Right? No?
No. The Loa is a lot of times. So when we talk about demonics, angels, even Loa in voodoo, that to me, it could be a name that we gave to the head, whatever. So we'll say Papa Legba for voodoo. He's the one always depicted with the Day of the Dead skull and the dreads.
Yeah.
He's actually the guardian of the afterlife, equivalent in Catholicism to Saint Peter. So could we be calling the same energy a different name? Absolutely. You know, devil's in the details, folks. That's why we fight. But there are Legbas, which is same group, same purpose, not the head person, but those that are, they don't need their own name, but they still have a function, right? So you look at the water Loa. I don't remember. I think is it Ocean? I don't quote me on that, which would be the head voodoo Loa associated with water. And I might be wrong in the name, so please don't, anyone who's a voodoo practitioner, don't yell at me. But then you would have other energies underneath that in that same family that don't need a name, don't have a name, but they still have a function to that. So I think then imps on the negative side would be a function of what we may call a demonic. But underneath that, you know, you talk about demonics, you talk about legions, right? That's typically associated with demonics, but there's also a legion of angels. So we always, for some reason, legion is always negative, but it's not. So that for my understanding is how all this works. We just know the head person, I'm not saying, for lack of a better word, person, energy, entity, but it's almost like it's a family of that category too. So that's kind of where it looks like elementals, different, energy created by nature. We actually have a class in the Paracon. Sam Beltrusis is going to be teaching understanding elementals because they're their own thing. And I have a very little understanding of them. So I'll probably have my butt sitting in Sam's class listening to him about that. But we've encountered a few. There's one at one of the locations we go to on our ghost hunts. But we operate under if we're told not to, we were never given the name, and we were told we're not going to get the name because once you, quote unquote, you name it, you claim it. And I don't think I want to claim this, but we also operated under, I'm not going to bother you, you're not going to bother us kind of thing. If we're disrespectful, let us know. We'll do something to make sure we aren't, but we're not, the intention is not to be. So all of that, all can be considered inhuman. And what do you hear, in the paranormal, what's the first thing you think of in inhuman? Right? It's bad.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was demons, also angels. Sure. But demons.
Well, right. And I remind people all the time, angels are also never human.
Right.
So don't associate inhuman with bad, because angels are not bad.
Right.
And so So this all goes back to education and the need for the Paracon. That we want to be an educational focused paranormal event in New Orleans, let people experience our culture, let people learn from reputable sources, have an outlet for different things. You know, bottom line, paranormal investigating is one of the most dangerous hobbies you can ever get into. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that, how dangerous this can be, how real it can be.
Absolutely, yes.
And no one's ever going to not do it because Jen from New Orleans Paranormal Society and Paracon said, don't do it. It's too dangerous.
Right.
So the alternative is what? The alternatives say, well, I don't think you should do this. I know it's hypocritical, but I've been through some things that if I stop today, there are things in my life that will stay the same because I've been marked. I've stumbled on things. I've made mistakes. I've done all those things. So the next best thing that I can do is educate you and give you a reputable outlet for different things to keep you as safe as we can, right?
Right. When I did my show, I hate to say back in the day all the time, but for 4 years, I did my own show at the Paranormal, and I got so many emails that were really disturbing, and people that wanted me to come to their locations and telling me these horrendous stories. And I would be like, all I can do is try to help you not make it worse, and until we can find someone that can come in your area and assess the situation and give you some personalized help. And I mean, these stories, like, that was kind of like reminds me of the book, and I will mention it now. He's a lovely man, William Buck Godfrey, Where the Woodbine Twineth and the Sycamore Cease to Bloom. That is his book of his Hoodoo and Geechee stories, and very beautifully written, by the way. So anyhow, I wouldn't read those at night anymore, those emails. So then I had one night where I just got done reading one a little while before, and I went to lay down and go to bed, and I heard a man whispering in my ear, but I couldn't tell what he was saying, but I could feel like the breath.
Yeah.
And this is a side effect. I bring this up because this is a side effect of a haunted situation that I'm not even at. And yet, because of the person connecting with me, it can affect me. And I've gone through all kinds of things working on people's books that way too, that it's like in a little way I become part of their story. And it's crazy, but it's real. And people that do these things for, like, you know, hey, we could go to a movie or we could go to this haunted place and da-da-da, maybe it'll be fun. Whole wrong attitude, completely wrong attitude. Be careful what you wish for. Go in a place with some respect and full awareness. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, we stumbled upon a case where the tenant was having night terrors of being killed, and it was in the same manner as someone who was actually murdered in that space. And he was losing time. And so we believed people we thought we could trust at the time, and we went in, and it was very early on in our private cases. It was like our third. And we done stepped in the hornet's nest. I mean, eventually that location was sent to the Archdiocese here and was certified for an exorcism very quickly, like less than 2 weeks. So I did not do another private investigation for 2 years because of all the trauma that I experienced from those nights there. And the after effects, even from mistakes that I didn't even make, but somebody near me made, and I paid for it. So you go into this sometimes thinking, oh, how real is this? And cases like that, I want to caution everyone, cases like that are very, 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 very uncommon. They are. But when you step in that hornet's nest, you don't realize what you stepped on and the effects. And by quite honestly, I'm sure we were just toyed with that what this energy could have done to us was nothing compared to what it did do. Not even close. So, that's a reason, we were stupid. We made mistakes. We said things we shouldn't have. We didn't do our due diligence in interviewing people before I could keep going on about all the mistakes that we made. And that's another reason that we're going to talk at this Paracon about that stuff is, what you do when you go to, like, let's say Waverly Hills and you're playing around. There's one technique for that. There's another technique for residents, right? There's two techniques.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you don't go into, I've heard people that have gone into these spaces that, are known for being able to be slept, overnight, things like that. And the things I've heard them say that they did, I thought, what's wrong with you? And you could see the darkness around them because they're paying for what they did because they were disrespectful. They were provoking. They were doing all those things why? When we do our ghost hunts every night, mine, I always say, where is it written where you can't laugh on a ghost hunt?
Right.
Why not? These are human energies. They still have a sense of humor. If you raise that energy, right? Frequencies are real. We are frequency beings. If you raise that energy and you're having fun and you're playing music and you're laughing and you're playing games and you just get that kind of atmosphere, you're going to attract spirits on that higher vibration. You don't want the ones on that low vibration. So it's something for people to think of. Keep your vibrations up. Don't go into these things looking for the scare, but unfortunately scare is what gives ratings on TV. Right?
Right. I've been saying that for forever about it's difficult to find people to make a recommendation because you don't know how they investigate.
Right.
And we don't have any standards across the board, really. So you don't know who you're getting. And some people are going to do exactly what you said. They're going to investigate your house the way they investigated Waverly Hills. And no thought put into that someone has to live here after they go home and deal with whatever you did that may have made it worse. Yep. And that's a very real thing. You can go in and make it way worse. And
you do have to educate the person that lives in the space. They have this misconception. Paranormal investigators are going to come in, they're going to get rid of this in 3, 2, 1. I did nothing to make this happen or make this worse in my own space. Wrong. Most of the times they do. Absolutely they do. And they have, we're just the doctor, right? We can give you a plan to get better. We can give you some resources, quote unquote, write you a prescription, but I can't make you take the pill. I can't make you clean your house. I can't make you stop the behavior that is happening in your space that is making it worse or bringing it on or opening yourself up to it. And so we find that a lot of times when we say, okay, before we can get out there, I need you to take control of your space. I need you to do this, say a prayer. And I always get asked, what prayer do I say? I don't know. What do you believe in? Because belief and conviction and intent are big things, right? If you believe what you're saying, you manifest it, right? And sometimes we'll say, okay, call us back in a week. And we'll go out if it's bad. More often than not, no one calls us back because they think that we're going to do all the work for them. And that's not true.
Yeah. I was talking about this with Father Shawn not that long ago. People think they're calling Orkin and you're going to come and get rid of their ants or whatever it is that they live in their house. And they're going to pay you and you're going to come and you're going to cleanse everything and that's it. And they don't have to do anything. And it's not like that, not even a little bit like that. In the Help Me I'm Haunted book where we address different topics there is an awful lot of help in the back. And that's on purpose. It's a guidebook for trying to manage your haunted situation, your paranormal situation that you're dealing with. And I had a girl that came to me. When I say girl, I'm old, so she's probably almost 40. But anyway, and I was talking to her all the time, trying to help her all the time. I wouldn't hear from her for a few months, and she'd come back, and she wasn't doing the things I suggested at all, and it wasn't even that much stuff. It was like you were saying, to get control of your area, keep yourself at a high vibration, keep your house blessed, and all of that. Well, I thought it was, I don't want to say amusing, like she's funny or the situation's funny, but she asks me stuff like I'm going to say something different. It's like, even though 2 months have gone by, we are right back to the drawing board, and it's the same stuff. It's always the same stuff. The answer is always the same. So I got a message here from Carrie. The most effective spiritual warfare is using the courts of heaven to bring in the enemy to break covenants and contracts in the territory or over a person. This is biblical, and everyone can learn. That's actually, I know about that. I know about that. And a lot of people don't realize that they could have a curse on their family, or they could have invited something in unknowingly. It doesn't mean that you knew that you did it at the time that you did, or you might have thought that it was just lighthearted or joking around. But you can give permissions, and because you can give permissions, you can revoke permissions.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
that's really important. And if anybody's in a really bad situation, you can say, you do not have permission to be here. I revoke any and all permissions that you may think you have to be here, because you do not. You can take back any and all permissions and break any kind of spiritual contract, and even do that over your family. And you can do that, wait, in the name of God, Jesus' name, or, however you're going to approach that. But it's a very real thing. Permissions.
it is. One phrase I was told when I started this is to say, be in your nature and return to your master. And that was another very general phrase to use when you're around those things, and to mean it. The point is to mean it. No matter what you say, no matter what important words you say based on your faith, whatever that is, you have to mean it, and you have to believe it. And that's more powerful than anything. The most powerful thing out there is love, right?
You want to hear something sad? I think it's a little bit sad. But when we talk about energy and vibration and frequency, and you talk about love, a lot of times I'll tell people to be in energy of gratitude, because a lot of people don't know what a true love energy is. They haven't experienced it. So they vibrate higher, connecting with the energy of gratitude than with love. Love is a confusing quagmire of a thing of which they have not yet understood. And it can be difficult and complicated for some people.
I mean, so we were talking about this before the show. So the love frequency, as far as hertz, is 528 hertz. So that if you're struggling with that feeling, I think it's called the solfegios frequencies. I'm probably never going to say that right. So for people that do meditation and want assistance with that kind of frequency, that's something to help get you back onto that, is to listen to meditation in those frequencies. And we were talking before the show, because Father Shawn and even my family on a different level are fighting members with cancer. And so my dog has lymphatic cancer. So he's undergoing treatment right now, but I also give him frequency treatment at 100 to 300 hertz, alternating in that range, which is theoretically a frequency that helps to kill cancer cells. There's no actual medical research, so I'm not a doctor, I'm not saying it. But if you believe, and science says we are frequency, we are just molecules and in vibrative states. We're molecules in motion, we're atoms. That is it. Everything is. And so why wouldn't sound affect sound and frequency, right? So
Absolutely. And on YouTube, you can find all kinds of meditations. Yep. They don't have to be anything spoken. And they're at the different frequencies. A lot of the times I pick 432, but there's different frequencies that resonate differently. And what she's talking about is a lower healing frequency. And these are very interesting. You can put them on in the background while you're working, while you take a nap. Not to go way off, but this is what I do best. I'm like, shoot, there she goes. Okay, so I had a surgery a number of years ago, and I didn't want to take the pain medication. And I used videos on YouTube to manage my pain. Every time that it was getting bad, I laid down, and it was a pretty decent surgery. I had navel surgery, so I had an incision and everything, and I managed it completely by listening to the different solfeggio. I'm going to say it a different way. One of us got to be right. Solfeggio, energy tones, and in the house it was hysterical because I'd go put that on and I'd go lay down, and everybody in the house they're like dropping off, falling asleep, listening to this with me. But at any rate, I went back to the doctor. I was like, I couldn't climb stairs. I wasn't supposed to carry anything heavier than a gallon of milk for 2 weeks. I went back to the doctor. He asked me if I need a refill on my prescription. I said I never took any. He could not believe it. And he said, you're healing faster than I anticipated. Yes. I'm really surprised. And I think part of it is the tones and the energy and frequency. And I think part of it too is that sometimes people might, when they're medicated, do more than they should be doing because they feel better than they actually are. And so that could slow it down. But I have actually, used these tones for healing and have a story attached to it. And they have them for all kinds of things. Healing, pain, balancing your chakras, love, like Jennifer was saying, opening your heart to love, even angelic, different aspects of that kind of blessing, and they're pretty amazing.
So 111. 111, that's considered the angelic and God frequency. So, and if you try the
same experience, Annette, I absolutely believe frequency.
And your mind can heal you. Your body is meant to heal itself. You know,
and it won't hurt you. You've got nothing to lose. Nobody's saying don't go to the doctor or don't take your meds. Nobody's saying that. But if you go on YouTube and you have like a little headset and it costs you zero money and you listen to that for a while, you have absolutely nothing to lose because it will not hurt you.
Right. I played in my house a lot, and it's interesting, just the feel. My husband will walk in, he'll be gone, and I've played it all day, and he'll look at me, he's like, what did you do? Because the house feels more settled.
Yes.
And I said, it's because I was playing the stuff. He watched my dog. I thought he was going to think, oh, this is a bunch of hooey when I started the sound healing. And I said, come sit. I want you to watch something. And I was playing it, and my dog kept getting up and kind of moving, adjusting himself. And he did it to the point where he wrapped his whole body around the little speaker I had playing these frequencies. So animals know these things. They know this. They're more connected to those things than we are by a mile. They know.
Because they're so much more instinct driven.
Yeah.
And Heidi's saying I also use 417 or 714 to clear uncomfortable feels, energies in the home. Game changer. It can
is,
feel the same as like if you do a house blessing. It can feel like that. You know what else is very good for that is bells, wind chimes. I'm not, you can't do it for 3 hours like this, but they would use bells and chimes and stuff like that to clear energy.
Yeah.
To clear the energy of a home. So all of this, if you think this is something new and
it's
fad
not.
and way out, it isn't. It really isn't.
No, look at churches have bells.
Right.
Catholic masses have bells.
Right.
You have frankincense that they burn, incense that they burn.
Right.
You have high vibration gold throughout the church.
Right.
You have when people sing things like Gregorian chants, that is a frequency.
Right.
The organ, a frequency. Think about all of that. This stuff goes so far back that there's roots to it. We're just now rediscovering all of that.
Right. Just because we've recently become aware of it doesn't mean that it's new.
Right, exactly. And it's in more places. We did I had a little of an attachment on me from one of our investigations, and I went to an exorcist priest here who we did some work and prayer, and he handed me a prayer book instead of prayer, it said, are you ready for this? My responses were called meditation.
Oh.
So prayer is meditation. Saying the rosary is meditation.
Right.
So, but we don't think of it like that. All of those things are good things.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're one thing or another. There is a version of that wherever you go. I'll put it that way.
Right. So agreed. Heidi says, our house is active, and even before I had a friend, an amazing energy worker come in and do wonders. I noticed a definite change with playing frequencies. Absolutely. Yep. It's a very real thing.
It is.
And I have had people come in and notice changes in the energy just from my doing simple, basic. I go around, I have salt, and I have a religious metal blessed, and I have a little bit of incense, and I say with a candle in Our Father in the corner of every room, this is my simple blessing, and make a cross with my thumb on the doors. And that is a real changer in the energy field. And that is something everybody who, I'm just saying a Christian remedy, but this is what I do, Catholic. And pinch of salt in each corner. Salt is kind of a very amazing thing too. If you learn about using salt, and almost everyone has salt. Heidi said salt water too. Yes, salt water in a spray bottle. Mix that around a room and bring up the energy. Yes, there are many, many things that you can do.
So one of our speakers, Patty Negri, she's teaching a paid class called Practical Daily Magic. And I've followed her for years. I've met her before. She's a beautiful, beautiful soul. And one of the things I saw her say is to keep salt in your bathroom.
Nice.
And before you get in the shower, sprinkle salt. Before you sit on the toilet, put salt in the bowl. It's a big cauldron. And it helps to flush out the negative from you that you're, to help release that from you. And the salt in the shower also. I've seen holy water made for me. There's always a pinch of salt put in it.
Yes.
Before it's blessed.
I have heard people talk about washing the bad energy off with putting a little bit of salt in your bath water, Epsom salt in particular, very nice. You can get some shower gels that are like Himalayan salt, and they're beautiful. And I believe they really do help. I absolutely do. Of course, I am a person that had a Himalayan salt lamp.
Yeah,
I had one of those in my room, and I liked it. So, interestingly enough, I had somebody talk to me at one point about, because I'm Catholic, they're like, well, you're doing spells. You just lit a candle. You just said a prayer. What's the difference? You just lit some incense. What's the difference?
Yep.
Or, salt or whatever you want. So, yeah, I mean, I think prayers are different. But on the other hand, it's an intention, and it's using things to lift the environment, always asking, though not demanding, try to push something on someone else thing, but an intercession for some help and blessing.
Yes. I mean, it's words and intention. What's the difference? There's not. It's words and intention, that we're using. If someone wants to call it a spell, fine. If you want to call it prayer, fine. I think sometimes when they're saying spell, it's negative, but at the end of the day, it's words and intention.
Linda said,
right?
I use Epsom salt to detox when
Yep.
I'm overwhelmed from toxic energy. Absolutely, yes.
And if you're not, listen, if you're like me and you don't have a bathtub, sometimes I will take a handful of salt in my hand and get in the shower, and I'll actually kind of start scrubbing my whole self. Usually I start with the back of the neck because of your atlas vertebrae, and then anywhere else that I have ailments, and I can even sometimes feel like a tingle in my skin, in my back, almost like I can feel it going away. Whatever might have been on me is going away. So there's lots of ways to do these things. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money, just a handful of salt and do your own little scrub.
Right.
It works too. But all this stuff.
We're surrounded by all kinds of helpful things all day, every day.
Yeah.
And, let's just say this once, maybe this helps some people. Hopefully, once you see it, once you hear it, it can't be unseen. It can't be unheard. They're just very simple things that you might do. Doing them on a regular basis, you may find a lot of benefit to your health and to your environment and to your pets. And they're just good things and worth giving a try, nothing to lose. Heidi said, we only have a shower too. I've used little mesh bags and put my salt mixture with intentions in the shower. Oh, that's lovely.
Resin bags and stuff like that. Yep.
Well, we are almost at the end of the show. I want to send everybody where they can find you for more information about the New Orleans Paranormal Society and the Paracon.
So if the Paracon is the end of this month, July 31st through August 2nd at the Astor Crown Plaza in the French Quarter. www.NewOrleansParacon.com. Feel free to call or text to 504-321-3366 with any questions. We do have some packages available. We have what's called the Living Dead package that includes a ghost hunt, hotel room, and 2 paid classes per person. And for 2 people, that's $448. We do have some day and weekend passes, and we just rolled out the weekend pass with a 1-night stay for locals who want to come, take a ghost hunt on Saturday night, and stay overnight so they don't have to drive home late. Those are weekend passes. You can add on any of the ghost hunts. The Voodoo House is a great opportunity. The Andrew Jackson Hotel is our hotel buyout. And then we have a great ghost hunt in a cemetery, a local cemetery, and City Park, an area of City Park with an oak tree. All of those are guided. You will have professionals with you. Bring your own equipment and take some classes and learn some things. We have free workshops about several things. A friend of mine, Angel Morgan, is even doing one on pet communication. I mean, who doesn't want to talk to their pets or be more in tune with them? And then lots of different classes about cleansing and protection and properly doing a paranormal investigation in a residence. I'm doing a free workshop on techniques for the spaces like, we'll say, Waverly Hills or wherever you want to go, or Pennhurst. What are some proper techniques for that? Because again, we're going to say those are different. So, and if you can't make it to the Paracon, go to NewOrleansParanormalSociety.com. We do nightly ghost hunts in the French Quarter as well. Same practices though. We have exclusive access to two haunted, that we choose two haunted locations. We have access to 5 or 6. We choose 2 every night, and take small groups of 12 or 13 and teach you what to do, and then let you do it. And then we'll guide you if you get stuck.
That sounds so cool about the workshops. A lot of really interesting things going on. Anybody that's in the area, go find out about it and see what's going on. Sounds very, very cool. Fascinating place. And I want to say thank you so much for coming. I had a great time.
Me too.
We had a lot of great chatters. New Orleans Paranormal Society just reposted the number 504-321-3366 to get more information. Heidi says, thank you both. Great show. Really enjoyed it. I hope you come
Thank you,
back
Heidi.
soon. Stay
Anytime.
with me one more minute, because we have to say thank you so much to UPRN Talk Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast, and how much we really appreciate Joe Montaldo, Michelle DeRoche. We are going to have Rick Garner with us next week. It's going to be a great show again. We're going to have a lot of fun. And also stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She is up next. Thank you all so much. Have a great night and a beautiful weekend. Thanks again.
Bye.
Jennifer,
Thank you.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.